Thank you for tuning in to the Survivor Not By Chance podcast. We discuss survivor stories from all walks of life with guests who have turned their traumatic experiences into inspirational stories. The show is for entertainment purposes only. We do not claim to be medical professionals, nor do we give medical advice. Let's get started. Come on in and enjoy the show.
Let's meet Asia Carroll, host of Survivor Not By Chance podcast. Asia is the author of The Pressures of Becoming a Diamond. She is a life coach here to help you through life's issues. Asia is also a psychic medium. Let her dive into your future. Contact Asia at www.survivornotbychance.com.
Welcome to Survivor Not By Chance podcast. I am your host, Asia Carroll, and I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you to all of my subscribers, audio listeners on each and every platform that I have. I appreciate you all. Please be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, please like and subscribe to all of my audio platforms with Buzzsprout, as well as Spreaker, Spotify, and a few more. So this week's episode is going to be so amazing. We have super phenomenal Quentin. He is here. He is a professional podcaster. He's going to bring his genius here just to show you all what it's like in the podcasting life behind the scenes. So many of us have had experiences where we want a podcast, but how do you get started? How do you go about it? Do you have consistency where you're going to be able to have podcasting regularly? Are you going to be able to move forward with it? We shall see. So let's see what Spirit has for us in regards to this episode with podcasting. Okay, so when it comes to podcasting, this card says lost compass, getting back to integrity. So when you're going to do a podcast, you have to be sure that you know who you are and you know what direction you're going into. Be sure you know what content you want to put out there. Be sure you understand your target market, because that's very important. If you don't know who your target audience is, be sure that you're taking time to process who you want to target when you're speaking. Stranger curiosity. This is a strange experience. This is something new to a lot of people. Podcasting has been going on for quite some time now, and it's becoming more popular. But to those of us who haven't started, how do you get started? Where do I go? What do I do? I really don't know. And that's where the curiosity comes in. But you do more research. You go within and you look into any areas that you can. Watch videos on YouTube or any other platform to learn about podcasting. This card says empty well, time to replenish. Be sure that you have time to do the podcast episodes. You have to determine whether you're going to do video, audio. It's so many different things that go behind it, but be sure that you have time to put that content out there, because if you don't have time to replenish, it's going to be very challenging to keep up moving forward. All right, so I'm super excited about this guest. He is so phenomenal. Mr. Quinten, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and definitely your opening speaks volumes about what we do in podcasting and what we want to do, and just for the host of their shows, how much they have to really love what they do, in spite of the little whisper that goes on in their ear with the discouragement. Oh, I did a really great show, and my views aren't supposed to be where they are, and you feel like you're putting forth this great effort, and you're not getting the results that you expect. So I've experienced having that what we would consider burnout.
Yeah.
And just understanding that if you truly love what you're doing, the success comes from the journey. It
Yeah.
doesn't even come from the end result most of the time. It comes from the journey. Like, yo, I remember I was just podcasting basically from a recording. And then
Mm.
you say, well, I graduated to video. And then you say, well, I graduated so I was able to do it in a studio.
Mm-hmm.
Then you may say, well, I got a big sponsorship and people are putting money behind my brand. And then, you realizing what you want through to get to where you got to get to, you really appreciate what you're doing more.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about Let's Talk.
Well, Let's Talk is the name of my podcast. And what I did is I really sat back and I have to explain to you guys what happened to me. What happened to me was I worked at a job where I worked basically in the middle of the day.
Mm.
And I never really I grew up off of talk radio. Talk radio was like my go-to.
Yeah.
Having a little radio, that was my thing. I always loved news. I always loved journalism. Grew up off of Gil Noble. Gil Noble was somebody who I loved. If you're in the New York, New Jersey area, the McQuarrie Report. Anybody remembers McQuarrie when we were kids? And then what happened was Ferguson.
Mm.
Ferguson happened, and I was sitting at home, and I just happened to watch the news that night because I found out what was going on with the Mike Brown situation.
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson happened, so I said to myself, I said, this is. I was fascinated by all the moving parts that was going on with Ferguson and
Mm.
how different news reports the news. Basically, you saying it's the truth, but you're all reporting it different and putting your own spin on it. So because of that job, what I did is, I had a lot of free time where I would watch movies and stuff at work, but I also was allowed to watch YouTube.
Mm.
So I started studying podcasting.
Mm.
Said, I'm one of them people who I consider sociably private.
Mm.
So even now, I don't really do shows by myself. I like to have a co-host because for me by myself, it's like, you're talking to yourself. I'm not, for lack of better words for anybody that's watching, I'm not that big on myself to want to talk to myself all day. so so I studied it for about 2 years. I really, really got engulfed with it. Different avenues of podcasting, understanding the YouTube angle, understanding the Spotify angle, the Google Cast, understanding Anchor,
Mm.
understanding those different avenues. And you know, I studied a guy by the name of Adam Curry.
Mm.
Adam Curry in the podcasting world is considered the Godfather. He is the first quote unquote known podcaster. Adam Curry came from MTV,
Wow.
and he started podcasting. Let's say, what is podcasting?
Right.
Podcasting originally was a recorded conversation that you would upload later. Okay. But really, in our terms, podcasting would be just talking, talking and being able to put forth content. So I studied Adam Curry, and he was kind of a known but an unknown because I couldn't find a lot of his content. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Why I can't find this content? Why I can't find this content? So I found some stuff and I listened to his point of view, and I said to myself, I said, I really want to do this. So I started buying equipment.
Mm.
Number one thing that I did wrong first was buy equipment. I bought equipment, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to basically do location interviews. I would go to people, and I don't live close to a lot of the people that I wanted to conversate with because the mission statement for Let's Talk was or ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I wanted to talk to the average person, myself, and other people,
Yeah.
and basically talk about what they're doing in our communities that affect the urban culture.
Mm.
So what I was doing is I would go to locations, and a lot of people would brush me off. They would not show up,
Oh.
not be there. Oh, I forgot. So
Ah.
I really that kind of discouraged me at first. So what I did is I did a couple interviews. I did some really dope phone interviews. I would
Mm,
still upload them on YouTube and still have them on Anchor because I started out with YouTube and Anchor.
okay.
And still those two avenues for me is perfect. And what happened is the winter came because I started in the summer. The winter came. So I had did a Zoom one time. I did a Zoom and it just Zoom just didn't feel right for me. So
Mm,
a friend of mine, she was like, "What do you know about StreamYard?" So then I was like, "Nah, not really." So I looked on StreamYard. So I started StreamYard. And StreamYard was really is for us that use StreamYard, it's very easy. You don't have to do a lot of studying.
yep.
You don't have to mess up to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I did StreamYard and I did that for about 6 months. And then a bunch of people was like, why don't you start a Facebook group?
Mm,
And I wanted to start a Facebook group as an avenue to be like a sister channel for the YouTube channel,
mm,
so we could take some topics that we can't talk about on air and maybe discuss them. And that worked out well. We had a group for a year, and then it got taken down by Facebook, and then we started another one that's still up.
okay.
And we'll discuss that because
Oh,
we talk
yeah.
about the algorithms
Yes.
and knowing the difference between Facebook and YouTube. And it's really been a real trying experience, Asia. What we do at Let's Talk and what my vision was for Let's Talk was not to do what I did some things that most people on YouTube and most people in the podcasting world would say I was crazy.
Mm,
Because like Asia said in the beginning, you mentioned that most podcasters they stick to one subject.
right.
They may have like a cooking show and
Right.
they'll focus on cooking, focus on cooking.
Right.
So what happens in YouTube is the algorithm will push your content out, focus on people that want to enjoy cooking.
Right.
And what most people don't know is that YouTube is the second largest search site after Google, and we all know Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So, but what I decided to do and what I really wanted Let's Talk to be was more of a smorgasbord full of information that we
Mm,
could talk about anything.
right.
One of the things that we don't, one of the things that's very different is that we don't talk about mainly. You don't really hear religious avenue. I did have a friend of mine. He's a Yoruba priest. He's been
Okay.
on my channel a couple times. Really good guy. Really good guy. Respect. And we talk about a bunch of stuff. We have a poetry show, conversation with friends show. So we talk about a bunch of stuff that I did a couple shows, not a couple, excuse me, a bunch of shows with some educators where I learned a lot about early childhood education and
Mm,
the educational system in our country as well as in our local municipalities and how it's done and what goes on. I did a show with some young ladies with special needs education and
oh, that's awesome.
understanding that, and they really educated
Yeah.
myself, and I learned a lot from them with understanding really what goes on in our districts and how you special needs education why they don't get the funding that they don't get and
Mm,
unfortunately when it comes to education as a whole, if you look at any president when they say they're going to cut the budget back, the first thing they do is they take money from the education. So I think that we as concerned citizens in this country, we need to really
yes.
get on our elected officials that if we really care about education, we would not allow that to be taken. I would think that we would want the military funding to be taken from first more than our education. So yeah, so I really had a really been having a really good experience. Met people like yourself. You
Thank you.
know, it's funny. I me and Asia we met basically through her cousin,
Yeah.
and I'm all for that because what you do on your channel, you address the traumas that we all face and how sometimes we think that we're victims,
Right.
but in reality, most of us are victors.
Yes.
And we need to give ourselves a victory applause, a pat on the back, and stop saying, "Oh, I'm a victim," and this is the worst thing, and this, that, and the third. Instead of saying, "You know what, I survived.
Yes.
I saved a very interesting video last week where the poet Mums, who passed away a couple of years ago, and he was speaking about our people. And
Mm.
he said, like, we survived, yo. We
Yes.
survived. Like, when are we gonna realize, like, yo, we survived? When whether you are foundational Black American, you've been here, or your family came from the Caribbean, you gotta realize, like, yo, you survived. Like, your
Right.
people survived to get you to this point, and stop thinking that you're a victim and allowing that victimhood mentality to affect how you move about your business.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You said so many amazing things. Absolutely love how you got started, especially just wanting to put those topics out there that people just don't want to talk about because they're tough. And changing that mindset from victim mentality to survivor mentality. And that's where I came up with my business name. I'm a survivor not by chance, because I fought to survive. We all have challenges. And when you're starting off, especially if you're interested in starting a podcast, you're going to have a lot of challenges, okay? Anything you do in life is going to bring challenges and lessons. It's how you look at it, it's how you view it. And so I think it's very important for you to not give up and be consistent. Okay. Consistency is key. I say that again. Consistency is key, regardless of how long you've been doing something. You only need that one person. Literally, you only need one person who has access to all the other possibilities to get you to where you need to be. But as long as you stay consistent and they can see your consistency, it will get you to where you want to go to. So let's talk about consistency here, because that is very important. I know when I first started my journey, I started off with audio only, just doing a monologue. Basically, it wasn't even for other people. It was for me. It was for me to help myself heal. And then once I got to another level, I'm like, okay, now I'm ready, to have guests on the show. And so you will evolve in your podcasting experience. Um, Quentin, if you can, just go ahead and share just a little bit about what you suggest people start off when it comes to podcasting, whether it's audio, video. Which way do you think would
Well,
be best?
I would suggest a few things. And I'll first by say, how you start off is you start off. If
Mm,
anybody that's viewing this, and I hope that you guys are viewing this, if you have an idea on podcasting, start right after the show.
right.
Start with recording your voice, recording and understanding you have a message or you have something that you want to share with the world. Start out with, if you could start out with just audio, start out with just audio. Anchor
Mhm.
is a very good app. I mean, I'm
Yes.
not promoting Anchor. I'm not getting paid to promote
Right.
Anchor, but Anchor's good to start off with. And then, if you have Gmail, you already have a YouTube channel. If you have Gmail, and you can start off just, as somebody just talking, and then you may want to take it to another level on interviews and stuff like that. I mean, one of the things that Asia said was the consistency. What I did is that I tried to have a bunch of shows. We do a show. We do review show where we do TV shows and as well as movies. One of the things about myself and creators and content creators and anybody that's watching that's interested in trying to do podcasting is your mind is going to constantly be working for content. Once you step your foot into this ocean of a different world, you're going to always be pressed for wanting to talk about something. You're going
Yep.
to see something throughout your day, and you're going to want to talk about it. One of the things that I was telling Asia behind the scenes was you're going to want to talk about it, but perhaps other people aren't.
Right.
That doesn't mean that other people don't want to listen. That means that other people aren't going to want to talk about it. So you could have the drive and want to go, but you may have co-hosts, you may have friends, you may have people that you want to bring on, and they just don't have the time to do it. And I would suggest that you still do it.
Yes.
And that goes against what I do sometimes. Sometimes I'll be fighting myself. I'll be at work and I go through something. And I'm like, look, I think this is really an interesting topic. We could talk about it, and then I won't do it. But I would suggest that you do it. Be consistent. If you have a target on what you want to talk about, like I said, whether it's cooking, for a lot of people that's into cars,
Mhm.
anything that you want to discuss, you could start a YouTube channel or whatever and just go for it and continue to go for it, continue to upload videos. Say if you want to start just doing once a week, don't get caught up in your views. That's one of the biggest issues that we
Yes.
have as content creators is a lot of us get caught up with our views. A lot of us have this great ascension to the top. And as they say, as our parents always told us and the elders always said, the quicker you go to the top is the quicker you go to the bottom.
Mhm.
So give we'll discuss what I'm gonna say later about
Yeah.
that about that. But give yourself a shot and just keep going. Be consistent. Like I said, if you're gonna do one show a week, do one show a week. If you're gonna say, well, I could do say like you could do morning motivations. If you're a person that loves to talk and you love to motivate people
Yep.
early in the morning, do it 7 days a week.
Mhm.
Upload once 7 days a week, even if it's a minute, 2 minutes. YouTube has this thing called shorts, where any video that's under a minute goes into their short category, and they even have you can even get into a monetization phase where with that. But I suggest that if this is what you really want to do, just do it. You
Right.
gotta love what you want to do, and you'll be
Yes.
successful. Don't
Yes.
like Asia mentioned access. And
Mm.
that in my opinion is what money really is.
Mm.
Money is not, yeah, you be able to buy what you want to do, but money really just gives you access to different things.
Yep.
So if you get to the point where you are trying to get your page monetized, use that access to take it to another level. Use that access.
Mm.
Give sponsorships a reason why they should put their brand behind your
Right.
name. Give
Yes.
them a reason. I mean, if you were in a room full of sponsors, how would you sell them on your content without
Mhm.
selling your values or your core beliefs of why you started podcasting?
Mhm.
And if
Yeah.
you could do that effectively, you'll be successful in everything that you're trying to do. Some
I
people don't want to be big podcasters. Some people want
right.
to be just, the average podcaster. I would sort of say, I myself, I listen to at least 5 or 6 different podcasters per day.
Mm.
Um, because I want people to understand that this podcasting world for me, I love it. Um, and I love what people do. I know what goes on behind the scenes, and you know when you're an average person, let's just say an average person who podcasting, and you have to start with building your brand. It's
Mhm.
a little bit different than when a celebrity who
Yes.
decides to podcast comes into podcasting
Yep.
and they have 400,000
Right.
followers day
Completely
one.
different. Yeah.
So you really start to see like, okay, this, that, and third, and then you understand media, you understand agenda, you understand narratives, and what you do as a podcaster, what you should do as a podcaster is try to stay very objective.
Yes.
Try to just be the type of person that gives the information and leave your opinion or your thought out of it and just because this is where it's going. Podcasting got oversaturated during the pandemic.
Yeah.
However, it got oversaturated, but analytic wise, they're saying that podcasting is really going to grow crazy within the next 15 years. I mean, really big. So if this is what you guys uh gals trying to do, just continue to do it and realize like, like I said in the beginning, it's the journey.
Yes.
It's a journey. When you have a kick butt show after the show for you guys that don't podcast, right? I'm gonna tell you guys one of me and Asia's secret about
Yeah.
podcast. When you have a great show, after the show, you be like, wow, you be pumped up, you be
Yes.
having adrenaline, you be like, yo, we could have won more, we could have won harder, because you know when you put love and
Yeah.
effort into your content, you know when you had a great show. You
Hmm.
know, and usually the great shows are not the shows that get the viewership that you expect. You be like, I had a really good show. We kicked butt. Like what happened?
Yep.
And you know,
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's been plenty of shows where I felt as if I should have had more views because the topic was like so strong. But I do understand that everyone's not ready to hear certain things. And people may be triggered by your podcast. Don't take offense to it, okay? You have to have tough skin when it comes to podcasting. When you first start, be sure that you are emotionally ready for anything that comes as a
and
result.
realize the sacrifice that you're taking, and realize the sacrifice that your family takes with your time.
Right.
And you should prepare your family for that and explain to them, like, look, a lot of my time you won't see me as much because I'm really trying to do this. I'm really thinking about podcasts, and this is what I want to do. One of the things that Asia touched on just now was when Asia mentioned when you have that kick butt show, right? One of the good things about with YouTube is that that show is in your on your page.
Yep.
So you could have, and some people want the viral moment, where you could have a clip from your show go viral and the show be 2 years old.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that could catapult your channel to a level that you're not expecting, or maybe you wanted to
Yep.
go viral.
Hmm.
And going viral to being consistent, um I would say just be consistent,
Yeah.
and don't try to go viral. Just be very sincere with what you're doing. Be very organic, and just like Asia said, just be consistent with your shows. If you pumping out 2 3 shows a week, just pump them shows out, and
Right.
just be true to yourself, and it's gonna eventually catch on, and
Yeah.
the algorithm, the way YouTube algorithm is, and Asia and myself do something very different. And I know about 4 or 5 podcasters who does this, right? Is that most of us who do what Asia and myself do, we don't know how many views we truly get. And I'm going to explain to the audience why. Because YouTube, you can find out how many people watch your
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But on Facebook, you really can't find out.
Nope.
And when you're having shows going to YouTube and Facebook simultaneously, you don't know who's really viewing. You
Mhm.
guys, you could watch a show through your Wi-Fi without ever clicking on the show, so somebody could be watching. So it's very important if you're on YouTube to always like, share, subscribe, let people know you're there. Um, Go into the person's page, email them, tell them what you like about their show, ask them could they improve it. I mean, most content creators are very, very open and honest as long as you're not trolling them. And
Right.
even if you trolling them, you're actually supporting them. But
Yes.
however, go to go to their email and email them, and talk to them, and
Mhm.
conversate with them. Content creators are very open, like I said. And if you don't like something about their show, they'll work to improve their show because you're supporting their content.
Right. And I think that's also, especially let's talk about really quickly the difference between YouTube algorithms and Facebook algorithms. Okay, depending on the type of content that you're putting out there, you may get more shares on Facebook than on YouTube. But then again, YouTube may give you more viewage than Facebook. Also,
Yeah.
audio, depending on what audio platform you use. Okay. But regardless of it, you want to diversify your audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that, like you said, Asia, what you just mentioned is key. And it's really, really hard for us who are younger in the podcasting game and basically building their brand from the ground up. And the reason why I say that is because you try to be very diverse and as diverse as can be, but you don't have that quote unquote name recognition where people be like, oh, this is such and such. Oh, let me run to their
Right.
page. One of the things that, and I don't want nobody to take this the wrong way. One of the things that I don't like about the celebrities is a lot of celebrities will promote a bunch of garbage. And because of their name recognition,
Yes,
people will run to it.
yes,
This
yes.
is not for all celebrities, so I don't want any celebrity who may see this to take offense to it. But
No, but I agree.
when you have somebody who's really putting in the work, and I'm not saying they're not putting in the work, you have somebody who's putting in the work, and they're really trying to diversify what their brand is and be all over the place. The small things, the like, share, and subscribe on YouTube is major. And
Yes,
you even hear big people that are big into YouTube tell you to hit the like button. The reason why is because the way the YouTube algorithm works is
right.
the more likes for a channel. So say if you get a 5,000 view show, and let's just say 10% likes for a 5,000 view show is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds crazy to most people. Be like, dang, you only got 500 likes, but you got 5,000 views. Most people will not like the show.
Right.
And I'm not saying they don't like the content. They just forget to hit the like button or don't think
Yes.
the like button is significant. So I would suggest that any show that you watch, make sure that you hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, share. And this is what triggers the algorithm to promote that particular show to their audience. Having a good playlist, set your playlist up to a way where if you have all your interviews together, have your interviews linked. So if you're watching this interview, then the next interview that came up will come up simultaneously, opposed to Facebook. Totally different algorithm. Facebook algorithm, just like YouTube, is fluid. You learn every day. Every day. You don't know. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, Asia. I have not been able to figure out Facebook, YouTube. I did a show that was very, for lack of better words, steamy. YouTube blocked the show. Facebook let the show go. And I was surprised because I thought that Facebook would have blocked the show and YouTube would have let it go. YouTube basically let the show go. YouTube basically blocked the show because of the title. Facebook let it go because of the content. Because the title, I interviewed a sexologist. The title let it go because it was just the title. The the content was not as steamy as as the title was. The content was really really good. So, you know, I lost your volume.
I'm sorry. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah,
That's
you
definitely a learning lesson now. You know, it's going to be a lot of curves, okay? Especially when you first start. You're going to learn how to use certain hashtags, what goes with the actual video, not just your whole show per se. You're going to learn the description, writing the description a specific way, the titles. Changing the titles up sometimes can also help push you through the algorithm so that you can get your content. Try to be creative, saying things that others may not say to push the algorithms a little bit further.
it's very important, like you said, that the description and the hashtags. Hashtags, whether people realize it or not, hashtags are triggers the algorithm. Those are
Yes.
one of the things that trigger the algorithm is what you hashtag. And because we use, for example, we use the StreamYard service, the StreamYard stuff usually comes up. So a lot of times what I would do is go in there and I'd erase it and put more hashtags than I did.
Mhm. Yep.
But I just, in the last year or so, I kind of left it alone. I'm going to suggest nobody use a third party service to ever
Hmm.
go on Instagram. And the reason why is Instagram is owned by Facebook. Instagram does not allow third-party service to come to their service. Instagram is only a mobile live device, mobile live app. So if
Yep.
you understand, so if you have an Instagram channel, and you're already doing shows on YouTube on Instagram where you're allowing people to come in, that's okay. But when you talk about podcasting and you try to go to a third party service and go to Instagram, you will lose your whole Instagram channel. I
Yes,
haven't had that happen,
not
but
allowed.
it's not allowed, and they probably would never allow it because of the way the features of Facebook, and that's their other channel. So they're in that metaverse thing. So just continue to do what you do, far as using YouTube. If you decide to use YouTube, if you decide to use Anchor, decide to use Facebook. Also, if you have so a lot of people are getting their own website, and they're
Right,
going straight to their website. If that's what you choose to do, the more the merrier. I mean, I would suggest to do that. Do what you feel comfortable doing. Just
right.
go. Just jump.
Yes,
As
just
they
do.
say, when you have an idea, just go for it and just
Yep.
jump and just try to go at it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Oh my goodness. You are so amazing, Quentin. This was so phenomenal. Do you have any last points that you want to give to the viewers and the audio listeners?
My last point would be typically like my first. I mean, you may not don't buy any equipment. That's what
Mm.
I talked about in the beginning, right? The reason why is I bought all these cameras, bought all these tripods, spent my money. You don't need it.
Hmm.
You'll might need it for later, but you don't need
Right.
it. You have a voice, you have an idea, just go for it. Like I said, Asia explained to you guys what she did. Basically, I would say it was like journaling, and then
Yes.
she took it to another level. So, Anchor has a very, very good, easy
Yeah.
app, a speaker. You have a bunch of different podcasts and websites that are really, really good. The way YouTube is set up now, YouTube is even doing a content creator thing where they're trying to take people that do voice to go to video.
Yep.
I looked into it, very good. I last year I wound up buying a Rodecaster.
Oh.
Rodecaster is the audio face behind the scenes. Real
Mm.
expensive equipment, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
I got the piece of equipment, and I looked it up. I logged in. I did everything right, and they wound up having a challenge where you could send like your videos in, and the Rodecaster, or buy you another Rodecaster, buy you speakers, buy you equipment.
Mm.
So you could get in a lot of different programs when it comes to podcasting, where you could get in contests where people will buy, these companies will buy you stuff, buy equipment. I always say you have to give people a reason to put their money in their access. Like Asia said, that key word. Yeah, you could give somebody $10 million, or you can give somebody a $5 million 5 year contract, right? Okay, the money's good, and a person will be able to take care of themselves and live comfortably for their family, whatever that dollar amount is. But you want the access.
Right.
Okay, by me, you're a brand. By your brand helping my brand, what is that going to give me access to? And that's key for people. One of the people that I like is Joe Button.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Button turned down a popular. He got a lot of money from Spotify, offered him a
Yep.
lot of money, and a lot of people was like, "What's wrong with him? He dropped the bag." And he basically has said he wanted money like Joe Rogan.
Mm.
And I have my own opinion on that and what he should have done, he shouldn't have. But one thing I respected about Joe Button was he felt as though his intellectual property was worth more than what they were willing to give him.
Yes.
And this is key for us, key for
Yes.
people that's wanting to podcast, key for people that's doing it already, is that your intellectual property, the only person that can put a value on that is you.
Yep.
So, being able to leverage what you believe you're worth and getting that access to getting where you want to go. You may say, well, you know, um, I get picked up by a big name brand, and I want to get promoted by these people. What's the access? One of my interviews, and I'll make this real short, is one of my interviews that I interviewed about 2 years ago was my cousin. I
Mm.
interviewed a cousin of mine who's in the music industry, and very good interview. My cousin he's really going to be successful. He's really going to
Oh,
pop. He's independent, owns
awesome.
everything, owns his own label, everything. Really doing good.
That's so dope.
And one of the things that he said to me, and a lot of times with age, we get stuck in our ways, or we don't
Right.
know the way that everything is transit, everything is
Mhm.
transitional. You got to know, you got to be abreast. You got to
Right.
stay on your feet
Right.
doing being content creator. one thing that he said to me was, "How many followers you got on Instagram?" And I was like, "What?" I say that to say that the younger generation, they don't follow people on
Mm,
Instagram unless they got big followers,
mm,
because they believe that the more followers you have, the more access you have. And this is the theory
mm,
of it is correct.
mm.
So a lot of times with us, like I explained to you guys about the celebrity thing, is that that's so key because you need somebody to speak about you in a room that you're not in.
Yes.
And you want somebody give, like, for example, you guys, I, I gave Asia a reason to bring me on the show.
Yes.
Asia gave me a reason to bring her on my show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. That's
Yep.
what it's about. I go in a room and I'm talking about podcasting, and somebody asks me a question about, well, somebody who does a podcasting that specifically speaks to the traumas that we face. Why wouldn't I say Asia?
Right.
So we have to understand as podcasters that and as content creators that we have a community.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I never try to do is I never try to criticize another podcaster. I always try to look and I learn from their mistakes. A lot of people lose their channels for
Right.
different reasons. I know I
Right.
don't get caught up in all that stuff. I just take what I can take and don't take what I don't take. And
Right.
really understand that, give people a reason to speak about you in a room. And like I said, and I'm gonna keep saying that, allow your access or allow yourself to get access to things that you want to do to make your stuff successful.
Yes. Oh, that's so phenomenal. Oh my goodness. Y'all, if y'all not ready now, I don't know when you gonna be ready. But the key to it is just starting. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like anyone else. It can be your own unique way. And Quentin, thank you so much for being here and just giving us that information, in regards to how we can get started. So if anyone is looking to follow Quentin, he is on Instagram at Let's Talk 1931. His YouTube channel is also here, and it is youtube.com/C/Let's Talk 1931. And I will put the link in the comments below. Thank you so much again for being here, Quentin.
I
I
appreciate it.
so appreciate you. May you have an amazing day.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. So this was an amazing show. As always, every one of my shows are always amazing. I'm so excited meeting all these amazing people, learning different things. And like Quentin said, access, being in spaces where people can say your names in rooms that can get you to where you need to be. Continue to be consistent, continue to do what you need to do, and it's going to fall into place for you. You got to believe in you more than anyone else does. A lot of people didn't believe in me when I started my show. A lot of people like, podcast, what's that? Why are you doing that? It was for me, but it brought me to the space where I am today. And so I want to just say really quickly to each and every one of you who have liked and subscribed to my YouTube channel, to who have liked and subscribed to all of my audio platforms, thank you. Thank you so much, because I could not do this without you all. And as a result, the Influence Me TV show, y'all, y'all really have been helping me out so much. We've been raising so many donations for mental health awareness. I mean, we've on my link alone, I can't tell y'all how much money I've raised, but I'm excited and I'm so grateful for all of the donations that you all have made. The semifinals start tomorrow. The first place person goes to the semifinals tomorrow. I am first in my group because of each and every one of you. So thank you so much for being consistent and believing in me sometimes where I have moments where I'm like, I'm not sure. But this podcast, along with everything else that I've been doing, has helped me get to this place to be in this competition for this TV show. So that is just a tip for each and every one of you. You only need one, okay? You see how I've been able to build my access, and I'm grateful for it. So trust and know that you're going to get to where you need to be. We're doing 2 shows this week, y'all. Super excited. So we're broadcasting this Sunday night, April 10th, 2022 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we also have a show on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 12th, 2022. That show is going to be amazing. So I just want to say again, thank you to each and every one of you for being here, listening each and every week, each and every episode, tuning in. Thank you for the comments and the input. Voting is still going on. If you can, please submit any votes. I appreciate each and every one of you. May you all have a great evening. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for listening to the Survivor Not by Chance podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to today's guest. We are survivors not by chance. We survive because we fought to survive. Peace and blessings to you all.